Hey everyone, this is Michael again, and welcome to the Monday Night Raw review. And tonight's Raw was from the Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse in Cleveland, Ohio. And what can I say about Monday Night Raw? Like I always say every single week. It was another Monday Night Raw. It was another garbage, shitty show it was. I feel like a broken record every single week with, these shows. Saying, oh, it's a shitty show, it's a shitty show, it's a shitty show. Because WWE doesn't deliver. They keep giving us shit. And it's like these shows are getting worse and worse. Another garbage show it was tonight. Another garbage ass Monday Night Raw. And surprisingly tonight, there was no woman matches. The woman did not have any match on Raw tonight. But that's a shock. So, let's get started with the Monday Night Raw review. So, Monday Night Raw opened up tonight with Ric Flair. Ric Flair came out. He got on the mic. He ends up strutting in the ring, wooing. Talks about, the Crown Jewel match with Team Hogan and his team. And there was something about Ric Flair tonight. He looked like he was drunk tonight because of the way he was talking. He was sweating. I don't know if any of you catch that, but Ric Flair was sweating when he was going off, going crazy. And he introduces another guy who's going to be on his team at Crown Jewel. And he introduced Drew McIntyre. So Drew McIntyre made his return tonight on Monday Night Raw. He was out with an injury. So he's going to be the last member of Team Flair at Crown Jewel. So Drew McIntyre gets on the mic. He says, Ric Flair asked for a favor, and it's granted. And he says, Flair should get a front row seat as things get uncomfortable. And he says, what's going to happen at Crown Jewel to Team Hogan, Drew McIntyre said this is a preview of exactly what he's going to do to Team Hogan at Crown Jewel. And so Ricochet ended up coming out, and Raw went to commercial. Then when Raw came back from commercial, we had Drew McIntyre versus Ricochet. How many times have we seen these guys go at it? This is not the first time we've seen McIntyre and Ricochet go at it. Was this like the 50th match that they had? But all in all, the match itself, it was a decent match. It was an enjoyable match. It wasn't bad. Back and forth between McIntyre and Ricochet. Ric Flair, of course, was out there sitting down. He was watching the match. And, Drew McIntyre ended up getting the win. Ended up hitting the Claymore to Ricochet. I forgot to mention, there was a point in the match where McIntyre ended up Irish whipping Ricochet into the corner, and Ricochet flipped, and he hit the turnbuckles, and his head went, like his neck and head went first into the mat, which that was kind of crazy to see. But like I said, Drew McIntyre got the win. Claymore kick to Ricochet. And that was the match. Post-match, McIntyre ended up headbutting Ricochet. Ended up throwing Ricochet into the ring post. And we saw him throw Ricochet into the ring apron. end up grabbing Ricochet's legs, and McIntyre then end up hitting like a Alabama slam, an inverted Alabama slam to Ricochet into the steps on the outside. And McIntyre got back in the ring. Ric Flair was in there, and both McIntyre and Flair end up standing tall in the ring. So looks like McIntyre is ready to take on Team Hogan, Crown Jewel, with him being on Team Flair. All in all, it was a decent match. It was an enjoyable match between McIntyre and Ricochet. Wasn't bad, but it's like, how many times have we seen McIntyre and Ricochet go at it? It's nothing new. So then we had the I was about to say the Usos. The OC. The OC were being interviewed backstage. Karl Anderson ends up questioning the notion of the OC needing strategy to take care of rookies like the Street Profits. So AJ Styles says, he's not wrong, and that the Street Profits talk about, getting that smoke. And he says that's illegal in Cleveland. So Gallows ends up, talking about, the Cleveland, getting Cleveland heat from the other crowd. And Styles says that the Street Profits are going to get the beating of their lives. And then all three of them do the Too Sweet. And that was that. So it was going to be a 6-man tag with the Street Profits. They were going to announce who their mystery partner was going to be. I said that, it might be Cedric Alexander, but we'll get to that later on. And I forgot to mention in my SmackDown review, the last opponent for Team Hogan, because Seth Rollins is going to be off of Team Hogan because he's taking on The Fiend once again at Crown Jewel. So the guy who's replacing Seth Rollins is Roman Reigns. So there you go. Roman Reigns is replacing Seth Rollins in the Team Hogan versus Team Flair match at Crown Jewel for Team Hogan. There you go. So it was going to be a 6-man tag between the OC and the Street Profits. And the Street Profits we're going to have a mystery opponent, like I said. I guess Cedric Alexander. It was going to be Cedric Alexander, but like I said, we'll get to that later on. But moving on, Aleister Black, who's kind of promo in the dark room, like always. He's talking about how his Hellfire like rage claws at him, and he just wants another person to knock on his door. That was basically that. Same old promo from Aleister Black being in the dark room. Then Raw went to commercial. And when Raw came back, we had a match. Aleister Black versus a jobber, local, by the name of Jason Reynolds. It was a squash match. Aleister Black got the win. Black Mass on Jason Reynolds. What more can I say? Aleister Black wins. Moving on. So we had the Authors of Pain. They had a vignette of, what they always did. They talk about that, the same vignette that we've seen of them for maybe the past month. And they said that this time it's also about how Raw drafted them to keep them away from SmackDown. And they say that they're going to dominate when they re-debut on Monday Night Raw. So we had that. Going back to the Aleister Black thing, he was in a like a normal main match last week, and then now this week you put him against a jobber. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable how how stupid booking, WWE does, with this, with their booking. Ridiculous. So we had the King's Court. Jerry King Lawler was in the ring. He introduces his guest, who was Rusev. So Rusev came out, and Jerry Lawler asks Rusev about the whole situation, this whole shitty, don't give a shit situation with Bobby Lashley and Lana, which I don't give a shit about. I think this is fucking awful, this whole storyline that they're doing. And Jerry Lawler's like, he asks Rusev, what is he thinking about this whole situation? So Rusev ends up telling Jerry Lawler that it's all Bob Lashley's fault. Yes, Rusev ended up calling Bobby Lashley Bob. He said it's all Bob Lashley's fault for poisoning Lana's brain. He says, and for that, Lashley will be crushed. He says, as far as Lana goes, he may be a fool, but he still wears his wedding band. He says, because every day he hopes and he prays that they're going to pass through this into happily ever after. So Bobby Lashley appears on the Titantron. We see that him and Lana are at a restaurant. Lashley says to Rusev that he wishes Rusev could be there to settle their differences. But he can't, because he's not going to make the same mistake Rusev made. And that means taking care of Lana's needs. So then we see Lana. She ends up feeding Bobby Lashley like the dessert that they're having there. A little cream is on Bobby Lashley's tip of his nose. I'm watching this, I'm like, oh my God. This is so fucking awful. This whole storyline. So then he berates Rusev. Lashley berates Rusev for not taking Lana to... Wait. Getting my notes all mixed up here. But Lana then berates Rusev for not taking her to this restaurant. So now that was basically that with the on the Titantron. So Rusev, he looked like he didn't care, to be there. Like Rusev, you could tell he doesn't care about this whole fucking storyline that they're doing. He's just waiting until his contract is up so he can get the hell out of WWE and maybe go to AEW. So Rusev had a message for both Lana and Bobby Lashley. He said he liked to deliver it in person because he knows exactly where the both of them are. So Rusev ends up getting out of the ring, running up the ramp to the back, try to go find the restaurant, that Lana and Bobby Lashley are in. But this was just awful. Garbage. It's fucking atrocious. This whole storyline. I just hope they get the match, Rusev and Bobby Lashley. I hope they get that match out of the way and end this whole putrid, shitty-ass storyline with Lana and Bobby Lashley. Whose bright mind in WWE thought this was a brilliant idea to do? It's garbage. And the crowd that's there didn't even care for it. You can tell. So then we had Andrade Cien Almas versus Sin Cara. Before the match, Zelina Vega got on the mic, just talking about how great Rusev is, and whenever we hear Andrade's song, it's a siren to anybody. It was basically just that. And we had Andrade Cien Almas versus Sin Cara. We know what Sin Cara's out. Sin Cara was out with an injury, and what more can I say about this match? It was just meh, in my opinion. Wasn't good match. Wasn't great match. It was a meh match. I mean, like, who gave a shit? Did you all give a shit about this match? Andrade Cien Almas won the match. Zelina Vega, of course, interfering in the match while the referee's back was turned. Zelina Vega hit the Hurricanrana to Sin Cara. Then we just had Andrade hit the Hammerlock DDT on Sin Cara. There you go. Andrade Cien Almas ended up winning the match. Once again, as what we've always been seeing, Zelina Vega helping Andrade. This proves that Andrade can't win a match without Zelina Vega's help. That just proves it. Whenever Zelina Vega is there and she's hitting the Hurricanranas to Andrade's opponents that he's always given, it just proves he can't win without Zelina Vega's help. WWE still keeps on booking Andrade like this. Can we have one match where Zelina Vega doesn't help Andrade win and have Andrade win on his own? Please. So yeah, so Andrade Cien Almas ends up winning the match. Then we had Humberto Carrillo. He was watching the match backstage with Andrade and Sin Cara. So Humberto Carrillo gets interviewed backstage. Humberto ends up putting Andrade Cien Almas over as a future Universal Champion. Says he has a lot to prove. But when he does, he's going to be the best kind of champion. He's going to be the best kind of champion. So that was basically that. A little interview with Humberto Carrillo. Then we had the Street Profits. Street Profits were chatting backstage. They end up running the OC down. They end up hyping up their match. And they announced that the match is the main event of Monday Night Raw tonight. So Montez Ford asks Hawkins who their mystery partner is going to be. He says, is it Ric Flair? Or is it Booker T? Or is it Kurt Angle? No, it's not any of those three. And he says the man in question doesn't like AJ Styles. And he's just like them. So that was basically that. Still keeping their mystery partner a secret. So that was with the Street Profits. It was the Street Profits' first match on the Monday Night Raw roster. This was their in-ring debut match on Monday Night Raw tonight. Then we saw R-Truth. He was, keeping a lookout to see if anybody was chasing him, because of course R-Truth is still the Jobbing Ninja Turtle 24/7 champion. And he runs into one of the Singh brothers. Like I give a shit. So the Singh brothers, one of the Singh brothers was distracting R-Truth.
his brother rolls up R-Truth. I don't even know which one it was. It was Sunil or Samir. I don't even know who it was. So one of them rolls up R-Truth, and so one of them is the Jobber Ninja Turtle 24/7 champion. God. I'm sick and tired of this 24/7 bullshit. So then we had the War Raiders, Viking Raiders, if you want to call them that, but they're always going to be the War Raiders to me. The War Raiders versus Zack Ryder and Curt Hawkins. Yes, Zack Ryder and Curt Hawkins. They had to let them out of the gate, out of catering, just so they could have TV time. So, before the match got underway, of course, the War Raiders were in the ring. Of course, Zack Ryder and Curt Hawkins had to be interviewed. Why? So they cut a promo about how grateful they are for these opportunities and how they're going to string together some wins. Yeah, okay. So, it was the War Raiders versus Zack Ryder and Curt Hawkins at a tag team match. What more can I say? What can I say? The War Raiders, they're dominating on a jobber tag team. War Raiders got the win. They end up pinning the Viking Experience on Curt Hawkins. There you go. War Raiders end up winning. Then we went back to the restaurant where Lana and Bobby Lashley were at. They were eating. Manager offers them a comp, and he says to them that he doesn't want trouble. And they laugh it off, both Lana and Bobby Lashley. And you have one of the managers say, "Oh, I think your husband is on the way to Lana." I'm like, how does he know Rusev? How does he know Rusev is coming on his way? Is he watching Monday Night Raw from the TV in the kitchen? In the kitchen of the restaurant? Wow. And so then Rusev ends up coming into the restaurant. Rusev starts beating up on Bobby Lashley. We had guards swarm to Rusev. They end up pulling Rusev off of Bobby Lashley. Lana's there screaming. I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit about this whole fucking shitty storyline. It's garbage. Just let them book Rusev and Bobby Lashley, get this shit done, and end the fucking storyline between Lana and Bobby Lashley. Like I said earlier in the video, who thought this was a good idea? Who thought this was a brilliant idea? And yes, Vince McMahon probably likes it, so he approves of it. Garbage. Absolute garbage. So Rey Mysterio. We have Rey Mysterio. Rey Mysterio made his way out. He got in the ring. Ended up cutting a promo. Rey Mysterio ends up talking about how he's been training with Cain Velasquez. And getting him ready to win the WWE Championship from Brock Lesnar, which is going to be taking place at Crown Jewel. And he says he wanted to take a break to come here and thank everyone for the outpouring of love that he and his family have experienced. He says he wants to thank, from him, he wants to thank his son Dominic and everybody, in the crowd. He ends up calling, everybody in the crowd, this is my family. You know, you're my family. That's what Mysterio is saying to the fans. Then Paul Heyman. Paul Heyman appears on the Titantron. Paul Heyman says to Rey Mysterio that there's been a misunderstanding, and he wouldn't be saying this if Lesnar was in the building. So Paul Heyman ends up talking about how much Brock Lesnar has been salivating for a chance for revenge, and that Rey Mysterio served Velasquez up on a silver platter like dinner. So Rey Mysterio ends up cutting off Paul Heyman and then gets interrupted by Shelton Benjamin. Shelton Benjamin came out, and Shelton Benjamin ends up running down what's happened in the feud, and asks if Cain Velasquez is getting a title shot just because he showed up to defend Rey Mysterio. Shelton Benjamin says Brock Lesnar is an old friend of his, and he's his family. And he says nobody in WWE knocks Brock Lesnar better than him. So Shelton Benjamin says he's got it all figured out, and he's going to test a theory and find out what happens if he pushes Rey Mysterio around. So we had, Rey Mysterio ends up, shoving, I think shoved Shelton Benjamin. Shelton Benjamin backs Rey Mysterio into the corner. Shelton Benjamin ends up slapping Mysterio. And we hear Shelton Benjamin say, "Oh, where's your buddy now?" So we had Cain Velasquez. Cain Velasquez came out. Shelton Benjamin ended up backing away. Cain Velasquez made his way to the ring. And we had Velasquez ends up blocking Shelton Benjamin because Shelton was going to kick Velasquez. And Velasquez lifts him up, slams him down, and punches Shelton Benjamin in the ribs, which the punches it still looks like Cain Velasquez was punching air, because you tell that he wasn't really punching Shelton Benjamin. I'm sorry, this whole segment was awful. This whole thing was shit. So we had a waistlock takedown, Cain Velasquez to Shelton Benjamin. There was a sleeper hold that was applied. He shoves Shelton Benjamin out of the ring. And pretty much that was basically that. So, god awful segment. Cain Velasquez still looked like he was punching air. He was going like... Then we had Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins was being interviewed. Seth says maybe the Fiend has gotten inside his head. He says, but maybe he's got inside the Fiend's head. So Seth ends up breaking the interview, and he goes to talk to Humberto Carrillo. And at this point, the crowd was chanting CM Punk, because the crowd has pretty much turned on Seth Rollins after the end of that shitty Hell in a Cell match with the Fiend. So with that, and of course last week, Seth Rollins burning down the Firefly Funhouse, the crowd turned their backs on Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins right now, he's the biggest heel in the company right now because of the fuck up that WWE did at the end of the Hell in a Cell match. That's the only reason why the fans turned on Seth Rollins here after that after that horrible Hell in a Cell. And tonight they didn't even explain why Seth burned down the Firefly Funhouse. There was no logic. There was no explanation as to why he did it. So Seth Rollins talks to Humberto Carrillo, and he was talking about how, about being champion, meaning, sometimes you have to do things you don't want to, like burn down fun houses. So Seth Rollins welcomes Humberto Carrillo to Monday Night Raw, and he challenges Humberto to his first match. Humberto then ended up accepting, and so we had the match. So Seth Rollins versus Humberto Carrillo. And the match itself, it was a decent match, but really, when you think of it, it did nothing for either superstar. It did nothing for Seth Rollins. It did nothing for Humberto Carrillo. But it was decent. It was a decent match. But the match will probably be forgotten, by tomorrow. So, but it was back and forth between Rollins and Humberto. Humberto did decent here in the match. He's one of my favorites. I think he is entertaining in the ring. I think he's very underrated. I've seen his matches on 205 Live. The guy is entertaining, but like I said, this match was decent, but it did nothing for either superstar. And going into the match, you knew that Seth Rollins was going to come out winning it. There was no way that Humberto Carrillo was going to win this match. He was going to win his first match tonight on Monday Night Raw. So Seth Rollins won the match, of course. Hit the curb stomp to Humberto Carrillo. So Seth Rollins ends up winning. Post-match, we had both Seth Rollins and Humberto Carrillo end up shaking hands. And when they shook hands, you heard boos from the crowd. Yeah, that tells you how much the crowd has turned their backs on Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins, WWE is making him out to be how Roman Reigns was whenever WWE was shoving Roman Reigns down our throat. They moved on from Roman, and now they're putting Seth Rollins in the same position that Roman was when WWE was shoving Roman down our throats. So it went from Roman, and now to Seth Rollins. All in all, like I said, it was a decent match, but the match really did nothing for both superstars. All it did was give Seth Rollins a win. Then we saw R-Truth. He was backstage. He was with the referee. Came across one of the Singh brothers. R-Truth ends up rolling up one of the Singh brothers. And it wasn't the one who has the 24/7 championship on him. Got the wrong Singh brother, R-Truth. And they both run off, the Singh brothers. And the referee refused, the count. And R-Truth was like, oh, wait a minute. There are two of them? Oh. Jesus. 24/7 bullshit. So then we had the main event. The Street Profits versus Gallows and Anderson. Tag team. This became a tag team match. This only became a 2-on-2. So WWE did the bait and switch. Meaning they advertised this as a 6-man tag. And then it changed. They did the whole bait and switch where it went from a 6-man tag, and then now it's officially a 2-on-2. So AJ Styles got on the mic, and he demanded that the Street Profits reveal who their third man is. And they were wondering if this third man that the Street Profits chose is invisible or imaginary. So the OC made their way down, then Raw went to commercial, before Raw went to commercial, I'm like, oh, the Street Profits gonna announce, who the mystery third partner that they chose. They didn't do that. Just went right to commercial. Then when it came back, it was a 2-on-2. And I'm like, wait a minute. This is supposed to be a 6-man tag. The WWE thinks we're stupid. That we forgot that this was originally a 6-man tag. And then, oh, lo and behold, they got to change it to a 2-on-2. Thinking nobody would notice. Yeah, we all noticed. We all noticed that it was a 2-on-2. And, with the Street Profits coming out, it was cool seeing them come out. They came from the crowd. But it was very weird. Because, when they were in NXT, you saw them come from the crowd. The crowd was partying with them, holding up the red cups. It was actually really fun. Here coming out, in the arena with, none of the crowd partying with the red cups. It just felt a little weird to me. It didn't have that, that fun kind of feel, with them coming from the crowd in NXT, with, the crowd partying it up with them, holding up the red cups. But so then we had the Street Profits, Gallows, and Anderson. AJ Styles did not compete here, even though WWE originally announced that it was going to be a 6-man, and then lo and behold, change the old bait and switch, made it a 2-on-2. And this was the Street Profits' first match on Monday Night Raw, and the Street Profits, very entertaining tag team, one of my favorite tag teams. And I'm like, finally, they put the Street Profits in a match on Monday Night Raw, and not letting them be walking billboards like they were for months every single week. So, but I have to say, it was a okay main event. Wasn't great or perfect by any means, but it was revealed in the end that the third man that the Street Profit chose, it wasn't Cedric Alexander. It was Kevin Owens. So Kevin Owens was the third man. He did not compete in the match. And he had a point where Styles was interfering in the match. The referee ended up throwing Styles out, telling Styles to go to the back. That's when Kevin Owens came out. Kevin Owens made his way down. Kevin Owens ended up hitting the stunner to Styles. And the Street Profits were in the ring. And Montez Ford went to the top because Angelo Dawkins was the legal man. Angelo Dawkins tagged in Montez Ford. Montez Ford went to the top. Carl Anderson was in the ring. So Montez Ford went to the top. He ended up delivering the frog splash to Carl Anderson. And 1, 2, 3, Street Profits win the match. And that was basically that. And Kevin Owens was still on the stage. He was happy with what he saw. And that was how Monday Night Raw ended tonight. Man, what a garbage show. What a shitty show. Like I said, another Monday Night Raw, another shitty show it was. Yes, anyways, that's it for my review of tonight's Monday Night Raw. Thank you all for watching. Hope you all enjoyed this review. And definitely give the video a thumbs up. comment, subscribe. And until next video, which all of you don't know or probably do know, WWE 2K20 is coming out tomorrow. I'll pick it up. Maybe I'll pick it up. If I do, there will be a unboxing video done. Just, me unwrapping the game, showing it inside. So that will possibly be the next video if I do get 2K20 tomorrow. But anyways, that's it for this video, and I will see you all later.